people. What if just a little percentage is bad? Maybe only 300 out of hundreds of thousands are really deadly, ferociously dangerous, trained marauders coming here, knowing how to make bombs. You think those two were the only two? Those two kooks were the only two with an apartment full of bombs? It's happening. They're around. So what if just a few hundred were deadly, really deadly and dangerous? You can't have it. You can't let that happen. A few hundred people could take down 5 or 6 cities or really make something happen. You cannot let that kind of thing come in, or you can't take the chance now. And that's where I like Donald Trump. He understands these things. He's a realist. He can see. And he's strong, and he's brave, and he's not interested in being politically correct. He's not afraid that he'll be criticized. He's saying what has to be said, and he's going to do what has to be done. And it's not against any people, and it's not fear of any people. Islamophobia. No. I'm not afraid of Muslims. If only certain people out there knew. The Muslim brothers I have, the dear, really good friends that I have, spiritual friends that I've known for a long time, that I would do anything for. I mean, they're the most beautiful people, the ones I know. But you can't take these kind of chances. And so it's not Islamophobia. It's fear of a chemical attack, of a biological attack. It's fear of big explosions. And it's not, for me, it's not fear. Because I understand everything's unfolding as it should. And I do all I can for the good. But you cannot fall for this thing like, it's not who we are. That's a bunch of crap. That is a bunch of crap. It's not who we are. We know who we are. We're wonderful, good people. The American people are wonderful, giving, warm-hearted people. And we want to welcome desperate people here. Not only will some of them, and it'll be a heck of a lot more than 300, my friends. It'll be a heck of a lot more than 300. Not only are we concerned about that aspect, but the ones who come here, some of them are young, some of them are teenagers, some of them are young men, and maybe they come here just wanting to get away. How many will become radicalized? That's another thing. A certain percentage, maybe a very, very small percentage, they'll go to the mosques and so on. In certain mosques, they're going to be influenced. So now you have another wave, another segment ready to do anything. So it's a very, very serious situation. And you cannot let deadly enemies use our own goodness against us. And that's exactly what's going on. That's exactly the plan. Using our freedom of religion against us and using our goodness, our eagerness to share and do well. All those countries out in the Middle East, none of them will take any of those refugees. Not a one. Not one refugee in any of those countries will take them. Because they don't want trouble. They know that there's going to be very bad elements mixed in. They know what goes on, and they're not going to allow it, period. Why should we be any less? Why should we do any less? Now, I have other thoughts. I'm very disappointed in Bill O'Reilly. They were talking about, Cruz. I mean, Donald Trump is amazing. He brought up this issue, or it came up, and he went with it about Cruz. And it's like someone once said, they accused someone of something really bad. And someone said, well, you might not be able to prove it's true. And he said, I don't care if it's proven true. I just want to hear him deny it. So Cruz is all tied up now with this game. He's on Donald Trump's game board, and there's nothing he can do about it. Pretty amazing. There's something I want to find here on my little list. Hang on. I got to find a little thing here. Hang on. I'm looking for something here. So anyway, I'm very disappointed in Bill O'Reilly. Because Bill O'Reilly, I was at a motel, so I got to watch some TV. I don't have a TV. I rarely ever watch it. And Bill O'Reilly comes on and says, it's all so simple. It's all so simple. If your parent is is a citizen. You know, you're an American citizen. He says, Ted Cruz is an American citizen. He's a citizen. Now, Bill O'Reilly, that's the first time I ever saw him when I was sure they was completely disingenuous and false. Because it's not about being a citizen. The Constitution purposely says you have to be a natural-born citizen. Natural-born citizen, that's a whole nother story. That means, here I'm getting this up, all right. That means that you're born in the country and your parents are citizens, or at least one parent. I don't remember the exact thing. That's in the Constitution for a very purposeful reason, because they didn't want foreigners to be able to come over here and wind up heading our government. Those guys they had such insight. They were so sure. They really knew what they were doing. They understood tyranny and all the sneaky little ways it worms in, because they had been dealing with the King of England. They knew how it went. So right now, just let me say this, that if you are ready, this freedom bird will fly. If you are ready, this freedom bird will fly. Listen to the music playing now. Come on, sing along. Turn down the noise inside your head. Yep. I'm talking about a happy All right, stop stamping those feet now. Clap your hands. Nobody's looking. On the day that you were born. Life is a one big song. Sing along. Come on now. Step around. Get up and step around. Dance it away. Dance it away. Go ahead. Step, step, step. Clap those hands. Hands in the air. Step around. All right, we shall return. This freedom bird will fly again.
Listen up, chocolate lovers. Surround yourself with all things chocolate at the 9th Annual Santa Cruz Chocolate Festival at the Coconut Grove, Sunday, January 17th. Proceeds benefit deserving UCSC re-entry students. This is truly the chocolate lovers event of the year, offering a variety of chocolate delights and so much more. Go to santacruzchocolatefestival.org for more information, and while you're there, make sure to nominate or vote for your favorite chocoholic. Brought to you by KSCO Radio.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Costa, host of the Costa Report. I don't know if you feel a little sluggish in the middle of the afternoon like I do, but if you do, I'm going to suggest you try Pollen Burst. It's an orange-flavored energy drink that comes in a packet, and it tastes a lot like that other orange drink the astronauts used to drink. You know the one. Pollen Burst contains vitamins A, B1, B3, B6, B12, pantothenic acid, vitamin D3, and gluconolactone, all designed to give you an energy boost that can last for hours. Pollen Burst comes in a box of 30 packets for $56 or 2 boxes for $100, and you can order it right now at kscoteam.com. The next time you feel tired and need a little boost, skip the coffee, soda, or candy bar and mix up a cold glass of Pollen Burst and do your body some real good. Go to kscoteam.com.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Oh, hi. Right now, I'm getting a remarkably heartfelt bear hug from Smokey Bear. Thanks, big guy. Now, if you could let me down. See, I made sure there were no low-hanging branches when I set up my campfire. And before we left, I drowned out my campfire, stirred it, drowned it out again, then made sure it was cold. Visit SmokeyBear.com to learn tips to prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the great difficulty lies in this: you must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place, oblige it to control itself. That's James Madison. The nation which indulges towards another an habitual hatred or an habitual fondness is in some degree a slave. It is a slave to its animosity or to its affection, either of which is sufficient to lead it astray from its duty and its interest. George Washington. The only foundation of a free constitution is pure virtue. I've been saying that. See, you got to have virtuous leaders. And that's the problem. If you don't have spiritual people, and it doesn't mean they're this or they're that path or that, it means spiritual. People who believe in the higher things, who understand the higher things, they understand the cause and effect of it. They understand there's a higher power, that goodness matters, that evil matters. If you don't have virtue in your leaders, it doesn't matter what the system is. Because if it's a bunch of crooks or enough crooks, it's going to get perverted. You see? The only foundation of a free constitution is pure virtue. You have to have people who believe in those ideals and in that way of governing. You have to have good people, good-hearted people, well-intentioned people who who are not selfish. It's just that simple. It has to be selfless service. It can't be people out for themselves, out for their friends. You see it all over. They lose their way. They lose their way. The only foundation of a free constitution is pure virtue. And if this cannot be inspired into our people in a greater measure than they have it now, they may change their rulers and the forms of government, but they will not obtain a lasting liberty. Humble Brian, no, that was John Adams. Sorry, excuse me, that was John Adams. The only foundation of a free constitution is pure virtue. And if this cannot be inspired into our people in a greater measure than they have it now, they may change their rulers and the forms of government, but they will not obtain a lasting liberty. That's what's happening now, folks. That's what's happening now. Not enough virtue, not enough selfless service, and things are changing. And I tell you from my heart, I believe Donald Trump has good intentions. I think he loves the country. He's made enough money. He's had enough, all that power. He knows finances. He knows international finances. He knows money. And picture Donald Trump sitting across the table from Mr. Putin. Picture Donald Trump eye to eye with Mr. Putin discussing whatever they're going to discuss. Then picture anybody else on any stage sitting there. Who would you rather have? I'll take Donald Trump looking right through him, holding his own, outsmarting him, and getting what he wants. Yeah. Putin better read The Art of the Deal if he wants to deal with Donald Trump. In questions of power, then let no more be heard of confidence in man, but bind him down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution. Thomas Jefferson. He was all about freedom, but he understands the human frailties. So he says, in questions of power, then let no more be heard of confidence in man. Oh, this president's great. He's wonderful. Whatever he thinks. No. But bind him down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution. The Constitution says there's this branch of government, there's that branch of government, there's that branch of government. This branch can only go so far. That branch does this, and it can only go so far. The executive here, he enforces what they legislate. It's laid out perfectly by men who are inspired. I think they were divinely inspired. It is genius. It is wonderful. And that's why we stayed free and amazingly prosperous, amazingly powerful, amazingly safe all this time. And as our values erode, as our leaders deteriorate into selfish, weirdos and monsters, it all starts to go away. Because when you have someone ignoring the Constitution, going his own way, and you got people who just believe in him, believe he's good, he's so wonderful, then, he wants to save the planet. He's for the green, blah, blah, blah. And they I call it candy-coated tyranny. Every tyrant comes in with candy-coated tyranny. Save the whales, save the planet, save the air, save the babies, whatever it is. They come in with a really good cause that no one could deny, save the little puppies, and people go for it. And they think he's good because he's got a good issue or two. And they don't watch. They listen to the words and they follow the words, but they don't watch the dance. They don't watch where the feet are going and where they're taking it, where they're leading us all. So bind him down from mischief by the chains of the Constitution, which the Constitution doesn't give us our freedom, but the Constitution ensures our freedom. The Constitution is there to ensure, to guarantee our freedom. It doesn't give you freedom, but it says, you're born with these freedoms. You're born free. You have a right to be free. And a government has the right to govern only with the consent of the governed. And if the government gets too out of line, it's the duty of the populace, of the citizens, to change that government. It's their duty to not let tyranny take hold. The young people don't understand. They're bought and sold. They're all into pleasure, and who's the latest movie star, who got divorced, who's getting married, who's going with who, blah, 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 who OD'd, what famous person OD'd this week. They're all caught up in all that glamour and so on. A lot of them have no idea about what's important and how things work and what's what. Very, very difficult situation in this country, and the old folks are going to have to be very strong, very active, and step up to save this country. And every time you get a chance to talk to a young person, talk to them. And when they say, we created ISIS, I don't care what the story is. You don't let them come in here. You don't let them destroy the country. See, there's this guilt. There's this national guilt. America's done bad. Every single nation has done bad. Sweden, Switzerland, all of them. Every single nation has done evil. The bigger nation, the more powerful nation, does more evil. Sometimes it's unavoidable, or it's just the abuse of power. So we have a national guilt. We got a national guilt, and the whole world's playing on it, or at least our enemies are playing on it. So people are feeling guilty. Well, like I said this before. There's some drunk guys down on the street. They're making noise, and you get angry, and you throw a bucket of water out on them. Now they're kicking. They're coming up the steps. They're coming into your apartment. Oh, well, I shouldn't have done that. I never should have thrown that water on them. That was really bad. That was wrong. So you sit there, you let them come in and slaughter you and your family, huh? Because you made a mistake, because you were stupid. You have to stop them. You might have to kill them. You cannot let them come because you made a mistake, because you're wrong. You can't let people come in and take your country and do the most awful things. You've seen enough. You know what this kind of enemy wants to do here. And they don't have to come in and behead everybody. They just have to have the right kind of weapons that they're now getting hold of in this city, that city, the different things they can do. Better take a look at George Washington's prophecy that happened at Valley Forge when he had a vision, when he was visited by a being. It's in his diary. You better take a look at that, and you better prepare and be ready. And cling to your guns and your religion. Don't start anything, but be ready to finish it. So now we got here, hold on, my friends, to the Constitution and to the Republic for which it stands. Miracles do not cluster, and what has happened once in 6,000 years may not happen again. Hold on to the Constitution, for if the American Constitution should fail, there will be anarchy throughout the world. Daniel Webster. And it's beginning now. As we erode, as our Constitution is disrespected and ignored and circumvented, and as all these illegal things are allowed to happen because we have a president who's very popular with those who see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. Unless it's in a very whispery, spiritual voice. Well, Jason, we've got someone waiting on the line. Should we let him speak? Jason says no. Jason says no. We ain't going to let him see. Sorry, Wendell. We heard bad things about you. And now we're... Oh, he's gone. Did he hang up? I was joking. Hey, Wendell, you can call back. We're joking. You can call back. Wendell had something to say, or maybe he chickened out. Are you chicken, Wendell? Did you chicken out? Huh? So we have here, it should be the highest ambition of every American to extend his views beyond himself, and to hear and to bear in mind that his conduct will not only affect himself, his country, and his immediate posterity, but that its influence may be coextensive with the world and stamp political happiness or misery on ages yet unborn. George Washington, the father of our country, the greatest president that ever was. It should be the highest ambition of every American to extend his views beyond himself and to bear in mind that his conduct will not only affect himself, his country, and his immediate posterity, but that its influence may be coextensive with the world and stamp political happiness or misery on ages yet unborn. George Washington. Yes, indeed. All right, we got some callers here. And of course, we've got Ben Franklin. Do I have to read this to you? They that would give up essential liberty for a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Ben Franklin. What a bunch of guys we had back then. My Lord. And they're around. We got guys like that around. And they have to be recognized and brought forward. I tell you, you might think I'm crazy. Some of you will. I think Donald Trump's sent by God. He ain't a saint. Yeah, he's got some flaws, this and that, but I think he's sent by God to save this country at this time. I don't see anyone else who could do it or who would really, in their heart, care to do it. Ted Cruz sounds good, but I don't fully trust him. I fully trust Donald Trump. All right, now somebody here, hang on, let me get you on here. So is this a robber baron calling in?
No.
This is Greg. You want to talk about robber barons?
Hey, it's fun to listen to you. I don't agree with much, but that's fine.
What don't you agree with? Whoa, right there, buddy. Back up a couple steps and get ready.
That's why I'm calling. That's why I'm calling.
What don't you agree with? Go ahead. What don't you agree with?
I've called before, and the whole idea that we're talking about, that we have government, that we've had government, and in a historical context, when the robber barons came in and took control basically of the system, it's basically basically an illusion, a lot of the government that we think we have and the voting and all the rest of it. But and so basically I called before and said, don't call it government. We expect it to do this. We expect it to do that. Call it what it is. It's big business. And what do you expect big business to do?
Well,
That's
it's good to
not
say
quite
that.
that simple. Go
it's,
ahead.
It's
Go
good
ahead.
to say. It's good to say that. It's good to be aware of that. But at the same time, we have to keep insisting of about the real America. What America is written down and promised to be, what it's supposed to be, and we never let them redefine our country. It looks different. It's being handled different. So much about it is different and not right, like you're saying, and they took it over. But here we are still on the radio saying these things. And there's a lot of people saying we got a lot of free speech, and we still, at some point, if enough people wake up, we might have, a peaceful revolution where we, even through the vote, where it's just such an overwhelming. I have a feeling Trump's going to win by an immense landslide, and I think he's going to keep faith with us. Because you know why? He's that big ego. Now, there ain't no denying that. We know he's got a giant ego. That ego wants to be the greatest president ever. Not the most powerful, he's going to want to be the greatest, most loved president ever, and that will serve us. That could save us.
That brings me to a quick second point.
Go ahead.
Is that what appears on the surface is not necessarily what's happening.
Well, of course.
And because what goes on behind closed doors and who's allies with who in the political election or even in historical context, everybody thought that 60s just happened or the women's movement just happened or the recycling just happened. It was some kind of a people's movement. They all voted in. Well, that's not the way it happened. It was all corporate stuff. The women's movement was started by the CIA. Gloria Steinem talks about it. It was designed to get the women into the workforce. The hippie movement was started also intentionally. The recycling movement was started by big business to make people think that they're doing some great thing while they blink and do something else. I'll let you go. Thanks now.
Nice call. Thanks for calling.
All right. See
Greg.
ya. All right,
Okay. No, someone sent me a text. I don't know where my phone is. I'll have to dig it up. I got my phone here. I'll get to it. Now, we've got also here Gary in Santa Cruz. Hang on. Gary? Wait a minute. Gary? Hello? We have a guy named Gary here? What's going on here? Let me hit this again. There he is. Gary?
I hear you.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for calling, Gary. Call again. Just joking. Go ahead.
I will call again. Hey, I went to breakfast yesterday with a friend of mine, and he is a Trump supporter. Not that I'm not. And we had a little conversation. And one thing that I was trying to point out to him about Trump is that, first of all, I love what he's done with talking about the various things that he's talked about. I think he has provided a valuable service in bringing that forward. However, I do not eliminate other candidates just because he's out in front, because I don't necessarily believe he is a conservative, who I am a conservative, although a libertarian one. I think you are probably similar.
Well, George Bush was a conservative. How'd that work out?
No. George Bush was a progressive.
Mm-hmm.
As was his father, as was Clinton.
Yeah, I hear you. But what we really need is a true heart. I don't give a damn what he calls himself. I don't care what anybody else calls himself. We need a true heart who really cares about the country and has the ability and the smarts and the guts to get it done. We are threatened with we are on the verge of very, very big things that could happen. You understand? These guys have weapons now. It's not like any time before. You got a bunch of crazies, and they're getting their hands on the worst weapons possible. Here we have a guy that says, stop it. Don't let him in. Now, anyone that doesn't understand that, they have a death wish. Of course I want to welcome people. I love to help people. I love to see people lifted. I was in a little store the other day, and there was a little Mexican boy his father was holding, and the boy was bawling and crying, just little kid stuff. And the boy was crying so hard, and I thought to myself, I don't want to see these little children cry. I don't want to see their families torn apart and the little boy's crying and his world's falling. I don't want to see that. You know what I mean? We're good people, Americans. But you can't let that goodness cause us to be destroyed, because we have very evil people, and we're talking about the radical, nutty segment of the Islam population, because all of us know really good, Muslim people. I mean really good, really nice, really peaceful and decent Muslim people. But we got this crazy faction. I don't care what religion they are. I don't care if they're from Israel. I don't care where they're from. We can't let them come in here. If it was up to me, I would stop all immigration till we get things under control, because what's already here is already way too much. We're already in very big trouble from what's already here. Anyone can't see that, you're a fool. Anyone can't see that is blind. They just have a death wish. They don't want to face the truth. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. What would be your hesitation if, for instance, say it was Cruz who got the nomination? Would you be reluctant to vote for him?
No, I like the way he speaks. I like the things he says. When he gets in, will the Washington water work some crazy magic and he'll change? You know, Trump ain't going to change. I do not believe Trump will change. He doesn't give a damn. They can all go to hell. He's going to do what needs to be done. I believe that. Cruz, he could do. He's saying right. But will he do it when he gets in? Him, I don't fully trust. I don't distrust him, but I don't fully trust Cruz. I trust if Cruz was running, I would vote for him. I would have no choice. I'd have to vote for him. I'd rather have him than the devil in drag, named Hillary Rotten.
Yeah, but you do know much about Cruz?
I know his wife is very, very wealthy, and I've heard him speak a lot of times, and he's saying good stuff. And maybe, what do you think?
Well, to be honest, he's a Tea Party candidate out of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one who has stood by what the Tea Party wanted him to do in Congress.
That's good.
He's the only one who has stood up and done. In my estimation, he's a true conservative. He's a religious guy, not overly like some who pretend to be.
Well, I see him playing it a little bit, but that's understandable. You know, we're praying this and we'll give thanks for that. I say lately, he's like, you know, for the people of Iowa, he's making the point. He wants them to think that he's a religious guy. And I think he's somewhat religious. I think he might be a true heart. I don't know. I really believe Donald Trump is a true heart. And I know most of all, he's got the ability and the guts to do it. I think he wants to do it. And that ego of his will work so hard for us. He'll want to be loved. He'll want to be great. You know.
Well, I hope you're right, because if it was Trump, I would have to vote for Trump over Hillary, you say that you don't trust Cruz. I don't completely trust Trump because I think he's very narcissistic, ego-driven. Very ego-driven.
That could serve us. He'll want to be the greatest president ever.
But it could also, we have a narcissistic president right now who is basically a black dictator. Would you agree? Benevolent so far in some ways.
I think he's the worst thing ever happened to this country.
Oh, absolutely
yeah.
He is. But he is a dictator.
Well, he's trying. He's working that way. Now, we're coming to a break. I appreciate the call. You made a lot of good points. And I know. I would bet on Trump. It is a bet. It is a bit of a roll of the dice, but I think he's real. I think he's sincere. We're going to take the break now, Gary. Thanks a lot for calling.
Have a good one.
You too, man.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Is your internet connection slow? Etheric Networks can help you. Etheric Networks is the Bay Area's locally owned alternative to DSL satellite and cable. We do a few things to make our service better. We have a great reputation, and our staff is committed to providing a great user experience. We listen to our customers and listen to our staff. We pay living wages. Our staff are local Bay Area engineers and professionals. We provide flexibility and personalized service. Being in Silicon Valley, we have direct contact with the networking software and hardware companies and can bring new technologies to market before the cable and phone companies. We operate a tower-based fixed wireless network as well as a fiber optic backbone network that rings the Bay. The combination creates an ultra-reliable high-capacity network that you ought to try. KSCO Business Special. Business service up to 10 megabits per second symmetric for as little as $299 a month with a $399 installation fee. Etheric Networks. Call 650-399-4200. Etheric.net.
Hello, my name is Jackie Tucker. I am owner of a home care agency called Care from the Heart in-home service. We are honored to provide a variety of caregiving services, from homemade chicken soup to hands-on care, and to continue to encourage you and support you to be independent. We specialize in dementia care and end of life. Our team of care providers are supervised by our case managers, who are also registered nurses. Our care providers are certified nursing assistants, and to further develop their knowledge and caregiving skills, they are taught by our nursing instructor, Barbara Mayoshi. She's a very important member of our healthcare team. Barbara has been teaching in Santa Cruz County for 8 years.
Hello, I'm Barbara Miyoshi. I am an LVN, licensed vocational nurse and instructor. I have been on the Care from the Heart healthcare team for a year now, providing the wonderful employees of Care from the Heart with their monthly in-services. I teach continuing ed classes to increase their knowledge and skill set. Teaching Care from the Heart caregivers has been delightful. They are kind, caring, and very respectful.
Care from the Heart is here to serve you with dignity and respect. Our telephone number is area code 831-476-8316. Again, the number is 831-476-8316. Our doors are opened 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Please call Care from the Heart.
The Off the Lip Radio Show is the world's only live talk show dedicated to both surfing and skateboarding. As we record the surf and skate history in Santa Cruz and beyond, your host Neil Perlberg and co-host Terry Campion ask you to sit back and relax and enjoy the fun we have with our many iconic guests. Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on KSCO, or watch the live stream on the Surf Channel, and catch the podcast on offthelipradio.com or on iTunes and TuneIn Radio.
Hello. We're by the way, we're hoping Sheriff Mack will call in. I should have told you at the beginning, but a lot of you know. I was in touch, and they emailed me back. He's been at the Oregon standoff, and he may be back there now. They're friends of his. He knows the people involved. What's going on here? There's the humble one. I press a certain button, and I'm nice, loud, and clear in the headsets. Makes me so happy. I should just keep talking. I don't need to hear anybody else or do anything. Just hearing my own voice, the humility and the what? Jason? Oh, Jason's shaking his head. And no. All right. No. Okay. No, Jason says no. All right. So yeah, Sheriff Mack is like very involved in this Oregon standoff, and it's not like what you read in the papers. It's not what's going on. This government has been intimidating these ranchers. Many of them were basically forced to sell out, and the government's grabbing the land, and this family's been holding out. And they had a brush fire, a burn, which is normal. Every farmer in the world does it, or at least in our country. And it got a little out of hand. Didn't do any harm. But they charged him with arson, and they gave him a probation and a small sentence. Then this judge decided, no, I'm going to increase your sentence. He brought them back and gave them like 5 years in prison. They're in. Sheriff Mack is very upset about it. I invited him to come on and talk about it. He said he will come on, if not this week, certainly maybe next week or any week. I told him anytime. He said, how do I go about it? I said, just call up any Sunday from 10 till noon. And I'll be happy to help you serve. Sheriff Mack is an eloquent speaker. He's a 100% real guy. He really knows the Constitution. And in case you never heard him speak, he says that in every county, the sheriff is the last line of defense for the Constitution. If there were federal agents at someone's house, unjustly, and they were going to kick in the door, do you know the county sheriff has the power to come and arrest them, to tell them to get out of town? County sheriff is the most powerful law enforcement person in any county. So people should be contacting our sheriff and asking him about the Constitution and about does he intend to protect us from government overreach, because it's part of his job. So you should kind of hold him to that a little bit. So I got a little bit more of this. If ye love wealth, greater than liberty, the tranquility of servitude greater than the animating contest for freedom. Go home and leave us in peace. We seek not your counsel nor your arms. Crouch down and lick the hand that feeds you, and may posterity forget that ye were our countrymen. Samuel Adams. If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace. Thomas Paine. Posterity, you will never know how much it has cost my generation to preserve your freedom. I hope you will make good use of it. John Quincy Adams. This is from a booklet, Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States as amended, and this is put out, Sheriff Mack created this, and he's got writings in here that are fabulous, which I'll, if I can come across them, I'll read you some of the things he said. But this is a wonderful thing he did. Now we got another one. We must seek above all a world of peace, a world in which people dwell together in mutual respect and work together in mutual regard. Well, I say we must seek above all a world of freedom that allows peace. Peace without freedom is no good. You know, you could have a tyrant who makes everybody afraid to speak, afraid to, step out of line at all. And it's peaceful. Everyone's afraid. Everyone marches along. Everybody behaves, which are things like that are going on, which we're going to talk about next. Like the kids that weren't allowed to chant USA, USA in the school. And they shut them. That principal should be gone. That school board should be gone. You don't chant USA. So, we must above all seek a world of peace within freedom, a world in which people dwell together in mutual respect and work together in mutual regard. John F. Kennedy. Edgar Cayce, a most famous psychic, whose predictions from back in the 30s have been coming true at a near perfect, maybe completely perfect rate. He is especially well known for his stories about how Atlantis was once a great and prospering high-tech continent and nation, and how it wound up going into the sea, destroyed by the forces of nature, because Atlantis became degraded as a culture and broke certain basic cosmic laws. One of his strongest statements about the demise of the great land of Atlantis was that the sons of light did not fight hard enough against the sons of darkness. Let those who have ears hear. That's from my book, Fight for the Dream, which is the next thing I'm going to release. Right now I have a book on Smashwords, smashwords.com. The book is called Giants, The Wrath of Ghost Mountain. It is a fabulous story. It is quite a book. You can hardly put it down. It's from age 8 to 80. You'll love it. It's got a lot of you might say, like high, kind of important things wove through it, but it's not preachy at all. It is a story. It is an adventure. And young people will love it, and older people will love it. It's called Giants, The Wrath of Ghost Mountain. For a few bucks, you can download it. Go to smashwords.com. And also, that's Giants by Brian Thomas. Then also our streaming. We're streaming live right now. Remember America YouTube. You can go to Remember America YouTube. You can just see how handsome and humble and wonderful I am right on the screen there to be seen. You can see the humble one live, or you can look some other time. Remember America YouTube. That's all. It's not even like a web address. You just put it in the browser and it'll come up. And it got all the shows, all the old shows, the recent shows. And you can be watching us right now, or you can catch up on some things. There's some darn good shows went down. Now, okay, we've got Nick in Royal Oaks, I guess it is. Hang on. Press that button. Move you over here. Okay.
Hey, Brian.
Hi, Rick. Hi. What's up?
Yeah, you're waiting for Sheriff Mack, hopefully. Maybe he's even listening.
Yeah, he said he was going to try to call in. He's very caught up in this Oregon standoff thing. He might be up there again, but there's a good chance. He almost assured me he'd call in, but he's been on before.
I've heard a couple interviews.
Oh,
I want to address the issue also about being terrorists. I mean, the fact is they started a fire and it went. If they were going, these effing environmentalists, we don't care if it burns your land. That's terrorizing the person. Does it deserve terrorist statute? Well, probably the same if somebody roadkill something. They do environmentalists saving this thing terrorists.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't even bring that up. They're calling them terrorists. They're saying it was a terrorist act. And it wasn't. It wasn't at all. It's just down and dirty. It's very, very bad.
When it's just happening, you might as well live up to the charge for a moment. This one's peaceful. You know what they're calling for?
Well, what?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, if it's a terrorist act, so at least, so they armed themselves and they took a building. I mean, native peoples have that claim to that land also as an issue.
Well, it's all getting out of hand. Something has to be done. That's why I really want Sheriff Mack to come on the show. He might call in the second hour. I hope so, because it would be great to hear from him.
Even the fact that they overfished the halibut the last year, and I could say nothing, and even your own emotions wouldn't stop once you did it. They're just too small.
Well, thanks for calling in. We're heading for the break. We'll be back after the break. We'll be back with Fran. She's waiting. And thanks. I got to go right now. All right. Folks, we're going to be back. How much time we have, Jason? 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7. Well, what? Can't you wait? No, he can't wait. All right. We'll be back. We'll be back. And this freedom bird will fly. All us freedom birds will fly. Hang in. See you after.
CBS News, I'm Gary Nahn. 3 Americans released by Iran in a prisoner swap are now in Geneva, heading for reunions with their families after months of delicate and controversial negotiations. President Obama spoke earlier today about the exchange.
In some cases, these Americans faced years of continued detention, and I've met with some of their families. I've seen their anguish, how they ache for their sons and husbands.
More from CBS News correspondent Cammie McCormick.
This swap had been negotiated for months, but it often stalled when the U.S. refused to release some of the people Iran requested. Secretary of State John Kerry, after landing back in the U.S., told reporters he often said no and no and no. The U.S. was only prepared to release individuals who violated nuclear-related sanctions on Iran. And by Saturday, those sanctions were no longer in effect.
The U.S. and European nations lifted oil and financial sanctions on Iran, releasing about $100 billion of its assets after international inspectors decided that Iran had followed through on promises to dismantle big portions of its nuclear program. The 3 Democrats working for the party's presidential nomination face off tonight in Charleston, South Carolina. CBS News correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The Clinton campaign accuses Bernie Sanders of breaking a promise to not go negative. This past week, he released this ad about 2 different visions for regulating Wall Street.
One says it's okay to take millions from big banks and then tell them what to do.
Sanders tells CBS News.
It's not a negative ad. It's absolutely truthful.
Having seen her once sizable lead erode, Clinton's been blasting Sanders for his universal health care plans.
If that's the kind of revolution he's talking about, I am worried, folks.
The Democratic debate tonight is the final one before Iowans caucus in about 2 weeks. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, Washington.
More than a dozen people are dead, at least 14 wounded, and in critical condition, all victims of a suicide bomber who struck in Jalalabad, eastern Afghanistan. There have been no claims of responsibility. Pope Francis today visited a synagogue, a gesture of interfaith friendship. CBS's Sabina Castelfranco in Rome.
Violence of man on man, he said, is in contradiction with every religion worthy of that name. Pope Francis said conflicts, wars, violence, and injustices open deep wounds in humanity and call us to strengthen our commitment for peace.
Francis is the 3rd pope to visit Rome's main synagogue. A couple of tornadoes ripped through central Florida early today, killing 2 people, 1 resident of Sarasota.
I looked out the window and saw the trees and everything go crazy, so we had a little tornado go through.
Sarasota County spokesman Jason Bartolone.
We've assessed over 300 homes or properties throughout the county for damage. About 45 at this time have been discovered to have sustained some damage, with an estimated value of about $3 million.
This is CBS News.
Are you hiring but not sure where to find the best candidates? As a business owner, I can tell you that your company is only as good as the people you hire. I can also tell you that posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. But when you're short-staffed, there's no time to deal with the dozens of different job sites. Until now. Thanks to ZipRecruiter.com, I can post to 100-plus job sites with one single click and be instantly matched to candidates from over 6 million resumes. Just post once, and within 24 hours, watch your candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. ZipRecruiter has been used by over 400,000 businesses, and you can try it right now for free. Getting the right people for your company is so important. Try ZipRecruiter and get your perfect candidate before they go to somebody else. Today, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talk. Again, ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
Good morning, everyone. You are listening to AM 1080 KSCO Santa Cruz and AM 1340 KOMY La Selva Beach, Watsonville. It's 11:04 on a Sunday, January 17th, 2016. Got a quick look at your KSCO weather and traffic. We'll start off with the weather. Today, rain likely. Pretty much certainty, actually. Going to be continuing on through the week till at least Wednesday. That should be our first sun break, according to the National Weather Service. Also, be advised that we do have a coastal flood warning and high surf warning in effect. That high surf warning is from now till 4 a.m. Monday, and the coastal flood warning is through tonight, along with heavy rain this evening. Looking at traffic here on the Central Coast, roads are actually moving quite nicely for the time being. Highways 1, 101, 17, all checking in at the limit, and CHP reporting no major accidents at this time. If you want to let us know about anything out there that we should know about, give us a call, 475-1080. We will put the word out. Also, a reminder that we are continuing the longevity sale. Stop on by, 2300 Portola Drive. We'll hook you up with some fantastic health products. You don't want to miss this. Monterey Bay boaters forecast for today. South winds 10 knots and wind waves 2 feet or less, along with the west swell 13 to 14 feet at 18 seconds and a chance of rain on the bay. And the time's 11:06. Up next on KSCO Comey. It's hour 2 of Remember America with your host, Humble Brian the Great.
So, Jason, could you play some of that nice Yassos music now that you got stashed there in your secret reserve? Oh, look at that. Fast as lightning. Got Jason here. Got my man Chad Perry here. Cajun Warrior. So we were in France, traveling around, free as a breeze, playing music. We came across this little town that was having a festival, Société du Monde, and we stopped and we played music and danced there, and a lot of things happened. Very high energy. So it was time to leave, and Jean-Claude, the man who was running it, said that the entire scene had been lit up by our visit, and that he believed that we were from outer space and had come to help the world. He really believed that it was so. I tried to tell him that I was born in Philadelphia, but he would not believe anything but that we had really come from outer space. That is funny, because when we were at a small village in India, waiting for a bus, dressed in our outrageous silks and silver belts and bracelets, a crowd formed around us, about 40 or 50 people. They were harmless but curious. When the bus finally arrived and we had boarded, a small boy climbed up on the side of the bus and handed us a thin pamphlet type of book. It was open to a page which read, I saw the omnipotent's flaming pioneers over the heavenly verge which turns toward life, come crowding down the amber stairs of birth, forerunners of a divine multitude. Out of the paths of the morning star they came, into the little room of mortal life. I saw them cross the twilight of an age, the sun-eyed children of a marvelous dawn, the messengers of the incommunicable, the architects of immortality. Into the fallen human sphere they came, carrying the Dionysian cup of joy, approaching eyes of a diviner man. Their tread one day shall change the suffering earth and justify the light on nature's face. That was written by Savitri, an old prophet. We read it as the bus pulled away, and we knew that we had to go back to America and put out our New Age music. Yes, we were going to change the world. Yep. The Energy album. You might want to hear it sometime. It's available. I have a couple of cassettes with me right here. I might even have a CD. Anybody wants one, let me know. You can have it for whatever. All right, so I found it interesting that it's the greatest day ever. It's a great, great, joyous, joyous day while this nuclear deal goes through. And everyone's yelling about how the prisoners were grabbed and then they were released. It's just so strange. It was almost like a put on. They tried to create a thing with them pointing the guns at them. It was almost like staged. And now they're out, and all they're talking about is that these guys got free, which is good, fine. They got free, it's good. Never should have been taken. Something like that, such a provocation, really. Any self-respecting country should have said, we're going to delay. We're going to delay the implementation of this nuclear deal. But the fix is in. And that's the lack of virtue I read about. They're all in on it, and everyone's praising that our guys got out while this betrayal of a deal sneaks through. All right, there it is. Okay, well, we've got freedom fighter Fran here. We're going to bring her on and see what she's bringing today. Hi, Fran.
Hi there. I've got a lot of information. I'll try to rapid fire if I can.
All right.
First of all, Donald Trump is a true heart, as are you. He is also the only candidate running who has addressed Common Core, which is dangerous, which he knows is also a criminal enterprise as well. I do need to share some of that with you as a teacher who knows what goes on. This is beyond dumbing the kids down. They were already dumb enough for the past couple of decades. This is making them prey for predators. It is also allowing the schools to run roughshod over these children. Abuse is tremendous on these children, and especially in PE.
Sorry, wait. What do you mean by abuse?
Abuse by some of the teachers and coaches, the toleration of bullying, which is not a gay issue. It's an everybody issue.
Sure.
And I know firsthand for what's been going on. Also, I have to tie this in because it's important. Will Smith is just in a movie called Concussion. I don't endorse him or the movie necessarily, but for years, football has been a big moneymaker, not just for the universities, but now all the way into high school and middle school. These boys are getting their heads bashed in. For years, they've been bashing in the heads of little rabbits to test these helmets to see if they work. They don't work because it's not just the helmet. It's the whole institution of hurting other people to make money for the schools.
Well, it's the neck, too. You know, the helmet might protect the head, but when the neck gets so thrown and so on. Anyway, go ahead.
Absolutely.
And about Common Core, by the way, about Common Core, I saw one Common Core problem. You know, it was like a simple subtraction kind of thing. And I tried to do it with the directions the Common Core way. Not only did I not know how to do it, a simple subtraction that I could do in my head, in the middle of the night. But it like upset me. It frustrated me. It was like insidious. It was something about it was diabolical. I couldn't figure it out. It was like against logic.
That's right. It is intentional. They're trying to drive these kids to suicide, literally. They're giving them questionnaires about committing suicide. They're having the kids be so frustrated. They're trying to destroy the connection between the child and the parent. It is diabolical.
Yeah. It's like thanks for the thought. It's like thanks for keep that. Get rid. It's like thanks for the thought. Like let's discuss. Are you really a boy or are you really a girl? Let's bring up the question, to confuse them. And let's just, have you ever thought about suicide? Let's talk about that. They bring this stuff up to confuse the kids, to implant it in their minds and go, Fran.
It's far more dangerous than even that. It is true. But let me get back to football for 1 minute.
Yeah, go ahead. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. Go ahead.
At Notre Dame, you may remember Notre Dame when Mr. diabolical dictator Obama, who was also responsible for Common Core, he bribed the governors. Okay, he was at Notre Dame and spoke. They covered up the American flag. I think they even covered up the cross. But, that's the Catholics' problem. When he spoke there, it was incredible. There was a serious football death at Notre Dame that has also been kept covered. This is a 20-year-old boy who football was so important to them that he was on a hydraulic lift 50 feet above the field to film one of their play practices. This is insanity, okay? 50-mile-an-hour gusts. This it's somebody's son. Well, he's dead as a doornail now. He sent some tweets before, but the coach told him to go. Gusts of wind up to 60 miles an hour. Well, today will be fun at work. I guess I've lived long enough. And then he was splattered to the ground. Nobody's taken responsibility. That's just one thing. Not only is it in the universities. I live next to a high school. These boys are out there in 100-and-some weather playing stupid football. And it's a moneymaker, and that's it. You got to see the movie if you choose to, but common sense dictates that you don't do this. It's football especially, but I know how all the sports in all the schools from kindergarten up are treated. These children are allowed to hurt each other, meant to hurt each other.
Yeah, I know. I love football. I love to watch professional football. I love it. But I understand, especially in a high school, and and you got some of these coaches, they're kind of, some of them are kind of over the line. But there's another thing. I'm concerned at a school where the kids were chanting USA, USA, and they were stopped. And they said, you don't chant that. Like what? It's going to hurt someone's feelings. It's going to make someone uncomfortable. It's like they don't want patriotism, and they don't want separate countries. They think they're going to make one world, and then everything will be peaceful. And they don't understand it'll be the one world of tyranny that the Bible predicts.
Our sovereign God created sovereign countries. In the public schools, they will not allow children to express Christianity, Judaism, or any kind of patriotism. I know this personally, been there, done that. I need to tell you something else, and I need to give a shout-out to Allie Koffer. I think she's tried to be in touch with you. I use this term loosely. She's a wounded warrior. She was Coast Guard, Border Patrol. They had great success in deporting these bozos until that demon Obama put his face in it, and they were quashed. Right now, even though she's hurt and she needs help, and all our veterans need help, we don't need to just thank them one day. We need to think of them every day and thank them, pray for them, and help them. What she's doing now is Border Patrol from her home because she is hurt. She put me on to a fellow named Dennis Michael Lynch.
Oh, I heard about him. He's doing a lot, and a lot of people like him a lot. People want him to be president, but with this system, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, we need Trump right now because he's the only one with guts.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, he has a website. He's done tremendous videos of our porous borders. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I heard about that, and he's filming the towns up there if he can get in because they don't allow non-Muslims. There's areas now they're Muslim. And that's what they do, when they bring in, when these governments like in Europe and Germany and all these one worlder leaders who got in with all their, their stories about how good it's all going to be. And then they bring in these groups of these immigrants And they put a whole lot of them in one little town, here and there and there, and they dominate the town. They take over the town. It becomes a Muslim town. And then they go to the next and the next and the next. And it's small as it is. But now Europe has really woken up after these attacks. You know, it's an epidemic of rape going on, and you know about it, all this. And they're closing their borders now. They're getting serious about it. But now they have to deal with what's already there, like we do. Even if we completely close it down, we've got some seriously dangerous people here. And I'm not talking about Muslims. He thinks Muslim people are dangerous. No, I think crazy people are dangerous. I think crazy, violent people who want to make bombs and make their point by hurting and destroying others. I don't care what they call themselves. They're crazies. They're just messed up, you know. They're desperately wicked, and that's the problem. I don't care what they're called, but they happen to be a number of Muslims that have a grudge, and so in some ways it's a valid grudge. But like I said, you can't allow them to take us down. So there has to be some control here. You can't just let this happen here. It's got to be stopped.
There's a trillion reasons for anger among the populace here, but the lawlessness since 2008 is rampant, and he is the linchpin. He needs to be impeached for so many reasons. You can look at North American Law Center. Be that as it may, we have got to honor our military. America has sold our birthright for a mess of pottage, and the wickedness emanates from the White House, but he's not the only one, of course. It's
there's a whole
bigger.
background of powerful people that are running the show. I don't know how we're going to get the power back, or if we can. Maybe someone like Trump can pull it off. That's our only hope. And people I know people, they wouldn't consider him. They think it's ridiculous. And they don't think there's any big danger. They don't think there's a.
Well, that's because they're stupid.
Well,
I hate to use strong language, but they choose to be blind, deaf, and dumb.
There's none so blind.
Not listen.
I was going to say there's none so blind because part of it is fear. They don't want to see how dangerous it is. They don't want to see it. They don't want their lives to change. They want to keep going the way they are and just pretend everything's fine and everything will remain fine. And that is what this enemy is counting on, the complacency and the love of comfort of the American people, that we want to stay comfortable, we want to still feel like everything's fine and we're taken care of, and I don't see any way to avoid what might be coming. I mean, it's a very bad situation. Anyway,
I agree.
I gotta run.
Other than a miracle.
We're past the break.
Can I just
go ahead? Close up. We're past the break.
Anybody who knows Gary Sinise, James Woods, John Voight, maybe even Kelsey Grammer, we need help for our vets because a couple of the so-called charities that are supposed to be helping vets are actually receiving huge six-figure salaries, and only a few directly help the vets. That would be American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Disabled American Vets, Military Order of Purple Hearts, Vietnam veterans.
How about the Wounded Warriors?
No, that's the problem. My friend Captain Neil Turner gave me this information, himself a vet. They take the Wounded Warriors Project, and it's disgusting. Nardizzi, I can name you, $333,000.
Well, what's the problem with Wounded Warriors? I need to know this.
They're taking huge salaries.
Ha!
There are 8 people here who receive six-figure salaries that should be going directly to the warriors.
The helpers.
And they're not.
Yeah, the helpers.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, fam. We got to go to the break. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, can I hang on?
Maybe we can get you on later. I'm not sure. Sheriff Mack
I don't care if I'm on, but I can't.
Oh, you can hang. Yeah, let her hang, Justin. She wants to listen.
Listen up, chocolate lovers. Surround yourself with all things chocolate at the 9th Annual Santa Cruz Chocolate Festival at the Coconut Grove, Sunday, January 17th. Proceeds benefit deserving UCSC re-entry students. This is truly the chocolate lovers' event of the year, offering a variety of chocolate delights and so much more. Go to santacruzchocolatefestival.org for more information, and while you're there, make sure to nominate or vote for your favorite chocoholic. Brought to you by KSCO Radio.
Jungle Plant brings the lush outdoors into your home or office with plants that always look their best. Jungle Plant owner Dale Crable provides quality indoor foliage and a nurturing plant service throughout Santa Cruz and Monterey counties. Jungle Plant is mobile and comes right to you. Services include plant rental, a guaranteed weekly maintenance program, vacation care, and plants for gift arrangements. Call to schedule a free consultation. 831-462-5806 or visit jungleplant.com.
Hi, registered pharmacist Ben Fuchs here. I've been studying healthy bodies for 35 years, and what I've got to tell you may shock and surprise you, but if you listen up, it may change your life. One of the things that I noticed as a young pharmacist working in psychiatric hospitals was the fact that many of my patients were also dealing with movement disorders. As it turns out, these kinds of disturbing effects, which are difficult to treat and oftentimes incurable, are a common adverse reaction associated with regular dosing of antipsychotic medications. Doctors call this condition tardive dyskinesia, which basically means a delay in how the brain and nervous system process information associated with involuntary and out-of-control movements, especially involving the face, jaw, and tongue. One of the strategies doctors used to prevent tardive dyskinesia was dosing with antihistamines, which affect nerve signals that precede TK. As it turns out, these kinds of drugs, which are readily available over the counter and many folks use to alleviate the symptoms of colds and allergies, can have powerful effects on the brain. This was highlighted in a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, pointing to regular dosing with antihistamine drugs as a possible cause of dementias. If you're using antihistamines to counteract their side effects or for any other reason, you may want to consider taking advantage of some non-toxic alternatives. Bioflavonoids found in all fruits and vegetables and herbs, and vitamin C have antihistamine properties, and probiotics also have histamine-lowering effects that can be helpful too. And correcting digestive problems, eliminating problem foods, and just eating less can help reduce the jerks and jolts of TK, help calm the body down, and is always a good idea no matter what your health challenge may be. Pharmacist Ben here, urging you to go to kscohealth.com to order Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Start Pack, and other nutritional supplements that I personally use and recommend. You can purchase these premium quality products at wholesale prices online at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com. I'm the pharmacist that believes that staying healthy and strong is not only about medicine, it's about giving your body the raw materials it needs to do its work. Go to kscohealth.com. Make sure you check out the cool videos too at kscohealth.com. That's kscohealth.com.
Wrote that song in 1976. It got recorded in 1984, finally. And just inspired, inspired by my partner. Okay, let me see. I'm going to now read from a great master. All right, I'm going to pass that. We've read that already. I got to get something new here. What is this? Question. Let me get there I am. We desire to come into contact with the ideal we project, that we're a part of God, and the question is, how can one more accurately live up to the ideal of being a true representation of God on earth? The answer comes, method and its results are two things. When we start spiritual life, all our positive actions are simply methods. When we start spiritual life, all our positive actions are simply methods. Sometimes we get success and sometimes we fail because of our sanskars. Those are mind prints, habits of thought and action, or tendencies. But if we go on working, then someday we can be pure in our actions, thoughts, and words. So you keep at it. You keep doing positive things. Try to eat right. Right company is very important. If you want to stop drinking, you don't hang out at a bar. You don't hang out with people who drink all the time, you know. If you want to go higher, try to have spiritual conversations. Try to hear higher music, look at higher things, read higher things. I find that when I meditate, I feel sensations at the bottom of the spine, and I want to know how to direct those if they are a result of Kundalini energy. That's the life force, the basic energy that's at the bottom of the spine. Every path describes it in some way. Answer: there are several methods. Sensation is experienced by everyone who is in any kind of spiritual path. Spiritual path, you know, can be prayer. You know, someone who prays, someone who does anything that centers the mind and points toward righteousness. The sensation stops when the mind has not developed faith and devotion. The sensation stops when the mind has not developed faith and devotion. So if one practices with faith and devotion, what is faith? Choosing to believe that something is, that there is something more, that there is a greater power that is in everything, that is behind everything, the reason for everything. That's faith. Sensation experienced by everyone. So if one practices with faith and devotion, devotion is feeling that love in your heart. You know, well, you could say it's love for God, but it's love in your heart. People who want to be godly, if you don't have love in your heart, you're not godly. I mean, you can get angry sometimes, etc. Hopefully it's righteous anger, and hopefully you can choose your actions from that anger. You might want to yell, you might want to stop something, but it still has to be with that love in your heart. It has to be for the right reasons and in the right way, with faith and devotion. So if one practices with faith and devotion, the Kundalini can be awakened. That energy can be awakened, which can bring you to the divine presence. That's a method. Now there's a way of faith. There's a way of faith and devotion. People who just pray, people who just believe, and they get it. They get it that way. In Hatha Yoga, there are mudras for awakening Kundalini. That's certain combinations of finger positions and so on. Maha Mudra, Shakti, Chalini Mudra, Yoni Mudra. These are breath control and body postures that are used to control the concentration. That way you get the mind centered. What good is getting the mind centered, getting the mind settled down, getting the mind to do your work? Because then you can focus the mind on the higher. You can focus the mind on what we call God all the time. And that then draws you into that presence. Those 3 mudras are done every day, 4 times a day. That's their path. It's not the one and only way. How can I keep my mind on God and live in peace? The mind's nature is to seek for sensual objects. This is called impurity of the mind. This impurity is removed by regular spiritual practice. When the mind is purified, then it is not pulled by desires, and peace is there. It takes a long time, little by little by little. I've heard it described as like the skins of an onion, you know, one after it seems like nothing's happening, but eventually you get, the onion gets smaller, So that's what it's like. How can I be sure when my higher God self is giving me guidance? When I pray and meditate and ask, sometimes I'm still unsure. Answer: the same thing applies here. The intuitive knowledge develops when the mind is pure. Then you know you are guided by your inner truth. So people think they're spiritual and they're drinking, they're hanging out at places that are low with low people. They're looking at porn, things like that, and they walk around in outfits or with beads or whatever, and they think they're spiritual. They believe they're spiritual. They pretend they're spiritual. Others think they're spiritual, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The intuitive knowledge develops when the mind is pure. You can't sit in a dirty puddle and say your suit is still white and fresh. The two don't go together. You got to have a spiritual life. It doesn't mean you walk around all pompous and you speak only in a certain voice. It means that you go for higher things and you avoid lower things. Then you know you are guided by your own inner truth. Question: can devotion be developed without relating to God in a form? Answer: God is simply a word created by man. The form is also given by man. God is beyond name and form, limitless, immortal, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipotent, and one who believes on this fact can develop devotion without name and form. So I always say trust God. That's the readings for today, and I know a lot of people like these, so I want to bring more of this. I think we got to go. We got to have more positivity and more spiritual ideas and influence on the show here. There's a lot of people all over the TV and radio. They're carrying on. They're yelling, and they're, and we do our share. We do some of that, but we got to go higher because it's really a spiritual battle. Most of all, in these days, it's a spiritual battle. So we have to tune in, get our minds focused, remember that higher power, and when that higher power comes through us, it's not necessarily walking on water, turning water to wine, multiplying the loaves. It's not necessarily like that. It's all our actions, all our words, everything we put out, everything we do is for a higher purpose because we're on that higher level. We're in touch with that higher energy. It's a higher intelligence, and it's a higher, more powerful energy. So what we do is more potent, it's more focused, and it is for the good. Because if you're a spiritual person and you have the love of God in your heart with all your faults, see, don't beat up on yourselves. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't say, oh, I'm no good. I did this. Yeah, all right. But your heart is for God. Your heart is for goodness. And you want to love, and you're not good at it yet. And you mess up, and you try to help someone, and they give you a dagger. Maybe you should have been wise enough to know that you shouldn't have tried to help this person. You help someone else. You help, you give, you try, and then I get slapped, then I get they don't. Well, that's because you're not giving selflessly. If you're giving selflessly, it's like a tree. The fruit's there. You take it or you don't. The tree doesn't care. The tree's not going to chase you down the road to give you the fruit, you see. You offer. They don't want it. You have to offer detached. Not, I'm going to be good. I'm going to help this person. You see the need. If you have help to offer, you offer it non-attached. And they give you, they spit on you, or they give you a dagger, or they take it and say, oh, thank you, you're so wonderful, you saved my life. Don't be involved in any of it. You gave. Get on your way. You're not going to get the Nobel Peace Prize yet. You gave, done, walk away. That's the highest giving. You want to get something for your giving? Then ask for nothing, expect nothing. Just give and walk away. And the reward is natural. Just in your heart, the love grows. And you don't say, oh, I really did so. Oh, no, that's all more of the same. It's all impurity. It's all selfishness. It's all now I'm the giver. I'm the giver. I fed these people. I went here. I am so spiritual. All that, you gotta let go of that. And understand, only God is spiritual. Only God is good. Only the one, the source of all. That's all that's good. And we can try. We can work at it. We can do good deeds. It's all good. It's good for you. And other people get helped along the way. It's all good. It can be beautiful. It can be good. You give, you help, you share. I do this show. I say all the time, I don't care. I see everything as temporary. If I got word, sorry, we got this whole thing coming in, we're going to make a lot of money, we can't do the show anymore, I'd say, praise God. That's it. I served. It's done. But as long as I'm able, I'll come here and give what I can and give what I know from my experience. I'm older. I went through the whole spiritual trip. I had a big spiritual ego. I did all kinds of things. I'm not spiritual anymore. And I know I'm not good. I'm not bad. I'm not good. I am what I am. And I do my best to control, to choose my words and my actions. And that's what spiritual life is that you aim high. What's your aim? Is your aim to be, to be worshipped? Is your aim to be thought well of and to be a big name or to have everyone think? Your aim has to be to serve selflessly, to do all the good you can just for the sake of goodness. Everything else is ego, And when you do it that way, there's no ego involved. You offer, you do, you give, you be on your way. And thank God with all your heart that that you're able to serve, that you're allowed to serve, you're allowed to give and help. Our country needs so much help now, but most of all, we need prayer. We're going to be going on the break. We're going to have a little Yasos music. That's IASOS, Yasos.com. He's a dear brother of mine. Wonderful New Age musician, one of the very first, and everything he does is just excellent. So Jason's going to play this, I hope. Going to play the Yasos, Jason? You hear me? He was quick before. You're lagging, Jason. I don't hear you. Anyway, let's sit and let's send out some spiritual power, because it's a spiritual battle now. And this is what we have to do. We have to tune in, and we have to send out good wishes, good energy to everyone around us, everyone we touch, everyone we speak to, and for our world. And we have a great spiritual reservoir here in Santa Cruz. So with or without the Yasos music, we're going to go now. So please sit still and breathe through your nose. Breathe right up into your forehead and think the highest thought, whatever it is for you, whatever your path. Breathe through the nose. Think the highest thought. Just be still. Watch the breath. Watch the breath as you breathe through your nose right up into the forehead. Gently look up there and think the highest thought. Just relax. This is a technique you can use when the world's coming in, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when fear tries to grip you, when anger tries to grip you. First thing you do is still your mind before you make a move, before you make any decision. You sit still. You breathe through your nose right up into the forehead and watch the breath. And be, oh, that rotten. No, I'm going to ignore it. Back to the breath. But every time it back to the breath. Keep watching the breath. Breathe up in the forehead. Think the highest thought. This world I can't stand. These people. Back to the breath. There's plenty of time for all of that. But you'll handle it much better when your mind's focused and still. Breathe through the nose. Right up into the forehead, relax. Think the highest thought. Allow that goodness to fill your body. That's right, keep watching the breath. Keep watching the breath. Takes a little while for the mind to settle down. It's like, I don't want to do this now. That's just another thought. Back to the breath. Don't let any thought lead you away. Keep watching the breath. Let the thoughts come and go. Just observe them. Don't get caught up in anything. Got to make that call. You can make the call later. Watch the breath. Breathe up into the forehead. Think the highest thought. Yeah, we're a little scattered. We've been neglecting this, but it's happening now. The connection. That's right. Stay with it. Keep looking up there. Keep accepting. Think the highest thought. Very good, very good, very good. Okay. Now from this place we send this blazing energy out across our nation. Blazing into the White House, blazing into every single government office. We're sending these angels and this light power into every office, into every school, into every factory, into every city, all across our nation. Keep watching the breath, keep thinking the highest thought, and allow this energy to go out now. The power, the spiritual power of Santa Cruz. All of us, we see this mighty power going across our nation, filling every area, every town, every city, everywhere, spreading the light and power, divine power of protection, divine power of enlightening, of opening minds, of making the leaders wake up that they want to do something great and real, that they give up their selfishness, that they wake up, touching every mind, every politician, every leader, filling their mind with blazing Christ light in their heart opening, their hearts being touched and filled with this energy all across the nation, this power, this divine power spreading, permeating, going in everywhere, surrounding our borders, angels around our borders, the mighty power of the living God upon this nation for safety, for mercy, for forgiveness, for overcoming victory. Praise you, God. We'll be back. Excellent, folks. Excellent. Well, maybe we won't be back. People ask me not to just come right out of that into the bang of a commercial, so this is good. Now you can sit and stay with that. There's a lot of you. We're in a good place. I know it. I feel you. We're together. I feel the circle. And you can just sit in it because it is spiritual warfare. It's the best thing rather than yelling and complaining and doing all kinds of negativity. You can sit like that and you can send that power out across our nation. You can ask for that highest power, whatever your idea of it is. You can ask for that highest power to come and help with America to take hold. That's what we really need. It's a spiritual battle. And then the leaders can make the right decisions, and certain people can amazingly lose elections, amazingly be removed from power, and things can happen, and it can turn around. We need a spiritual movement. We need that spiritual power across our nation to take hold. Okay, Jason, break time? Folks, you're so wonderful. I feel you out there, and I really appreciate that we take part in this together. We'll be back.
So you finally decided to start taking a vitamin supplement. Those chewables and tablets are fine if you don't mind paying for something that is only absorbed about 4 to 6%. However, a liquid supplement can have a 90% absorption rate if you choose the right one. Youngevity offers a wide variety of liquid supplements with a 90% absorption rate or more. Beyond Tangy Tangerine may be the best one ever invented. It starts as a liquid that is freeze-dried like those instant coffees into a crystal. Then all you have to do is add a couple of scoops to water. No refrigeration, no fuss, no mess. Not only do you get a complete multiple vitamin, Beyond Tangy Tangerine also has minerals, and it tastes fantastic. You'll want to drink it all day long. So the next time you reach for a vitamin supplement, reach for Beyond Tangy Tangerine from Youngevity. For more information or to order, call Andy or Phyllis Anderson at 888-245-0300. That's 888-245-0300.
Let Good Morning Monterey Bay keep you informed on STDs in the workplace.
So I came in this morning and gather up what I need to bring into the studio. And part of that is looking in the printer. And what was there this morning was somebody has gone to the Santa Cruz Pregnancy Resource Center and gone to STD Wizard and is looking for 5 home remedies to treat chlamydia. So, of course, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, and I'm going through the thing about...
Oh, Rick's scratching his head. I wonder if that... No, I want to get me in.
Who was here last night?
Look, there's someone scooting down the hall with their legs up in the air.
Rest assured, we'll stay on top of this story. When we talk about healthcare on Good Morning Monterey Bay, you can bet Obama's got nothing to do with it. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on KSCO AM 1080.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. I opened a 401k.
So you're giving up? Just like that?
Giving up on what?
On getting an inheritance from a distant relative.
Don't you think if there were a billionaire in the family, we'd know about it by now?
Listen to me. We are one phone call away from riding horses on our own private polo grounds. One call from christening yachts, having a butler, using summer as a verb.
How do you figure?
Look, everyone's got a rich uncle somewhere. It's statistics. So the best thing you can do is just prepare for the inevitable.
Right, which is why I thought maybe it would be smart to take control of my finances. You know, start using a budget, get out of debt, set some retirement goals.
Budgets? Debt? You watch your mouth. Retirement shouldn't be a goal for us. It should be a way of life.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Hear this word, ye kin of Babylon. Ye kine, K-I-N-E. Hear this word, ye kine of Bashan, that are in the mountain of Samaria, which oppress the poor, which crush the needy, which say to their masters, bring and let us drink. The Lord God has sworn by his holiness that, lo, the day shall come upon you, that he will take you away with hooks, and your posterity with fish hooks. Oh, my. I have smitten you with blasting and mildew when your gardens and your vineyards and your fig trees and your olive trees increased. The palm worm devoured them, yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord. I have sent among you the pestilence after the manner of Egypt. Your young men have I slain with the sword, and have taken away your horses, and I have made the stink of your camps to come up into your nostrils, yet ye have not returned unto me, saith the Lord. I have overthrown some of you, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and ye were as a firebrand plucked out of the burning, yet have ye not returned unto me, saith the Lord. For lo, he that formeth the mountains and createth the wind, and declareth unto man what is his thought, that maketh the morning darkness and treadeth upon the high places of the earth. The Lord, the God of hosts, is his name. So these things are in the Bible when a nation goes wrong, and they call it God pleading with the country, pleading. Pestilence comes, trouble comes, fires and natural disasters, and they don't repent, they don't get it, they don't come around. It's always someone else's fault. Don't you think the Lord's pleading with this country now? How much further can we go? And they give a whole bunch of money to Planned Parenthood after what happened, after what they discovered, dissecting and selling off these parts of these little babies. So inhuman, so grotesque, so atrocious. And they reward them. It gets passed. All these Republicans got elected running on righteousness and values. And they go ahead. They have complete control now of the House and the Senate. And they go ahead and they give this to Planned Parenthood. It's like it's all fixed. It's all filthy. It's all stinking. It's all rotten to the core. It's unbelievable, the things that are going on. They just go ahead and vote, and they fill their plates with gravy, and they take the bread and they sop up the gravy, and they party and they eat and they drink and they have good times, and the people can all die and starve. The whole country can go down. They have no understanding. They have no virtue. That's why our country's in trouble, because spiritual people are not in power. Real Christians, real Jews, real meditators, people who are selfless, people who really want to do good, people who understand what's important and what goodness is and what sin is, what evil is. It's not sin. Things aren't bad because there's a rule against it. There's rules against it because it's bad. Why is it bad? Cause and effect. Nothing bad about throwing a rock through a window, except it upsets people, could blind somebody. The brick could go through and hit someone in the head. Bad things. So people could come out angry and someone could die. It could be a fight, could be trouble, could be on and on. There's a reason why there's a law that you don't throw something through somebody's window. Now you throw a brick through some old abandoned factory. Let's a brick go through a window. Some kid's having fun. Well, that's another thing. They'll still get arrested if they're caught, but it's no one getting hurt. So we need more virtue. And guys could get up, they'll quote the Bible, and they could still be evil. It's very, very difficult now. We have Lee Spreckles. We had Pete here. Pete said he loved the show. Jason? Jason's gone. What? They took him away. I think they took him away. He's gone. They dragged him away. Jason's no more. We'll try to get him out. Jason, I'll get you out, even if it takes me 5 years. Don't worry. Okay, here's Lee Spreckles. Lee, hi.
Good morning,
Hi.
Red, White, and Blue, Humble Brian.
Yeah.
You and Jason touch my hearts when I hear your voices. And God is omnipresent. He is in the ether between us. He is the wind in our sails. And what I missed the first hour, but what I would like to bring to the table, when you hear this evil monster news medias, they focus on death, they focus on fear, they upset life's thoughts that could be brought forth in our local, in our country, and even around the world, of all the blessings that are coming to us on a daily, minute by minute moment.
Yeah, isn't it amazing how nature just provides and provides and provides everything? There's something for every animal, every creature that gets to eat and drink. It's just amazing. But right now, the world's very joyous. The news is very joyous and happy and upbeat. The prisoners are being freed, and while this deal sails through, this Trump calls it the worst deal he's ever seen in his life. I think he said, this so-called, it's like that's going through. It's almost like that whole thing was done just to cover it. Unbelievable. So, yeah, they're all joyous and happy now. I got other calls, Lee. I got to go.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
Michael was questioned, how long is this CBS or news going to be on there? They've got to get a news media that brings up things that doesn't put fear and doubt and upset your mind and your thoughts of your day.
Well, all right. These things are going to come. These things are going to come. Our job is like the technique I showed, to watch the breath and sit still and to do your prayers, and you have a stronger when the world comes in like that, you got to strengthen your spiritual practice and all your activities, all the paths, and see where your feet are leading you. I got to run, man. Thank you.
Amen.
Lee. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yep, bye-bye. All right, here we've got Pete. Hi, Pete. So you're complaining you hate the show. Why? What's going on?
Yeah. Hey, I just want to tell you thank you for voicing, because we need voices like you, and God bless you.
Thanks.
I
You
can't
too.
make it to church too often anymore, just because I'm busy on stuff and I don't want to. But thanks for the religious approach, and listen, if they don't get it, and they meaning the Republicans, the Democrats, and the media, people in America are fed up.
Oh, yeah.
As usual,
Yeah, they're saying Trump's playing, he's doing this anger, he's bringing this anger. No, he's picking up. He understands that we are furious.
Absolutely. And if they don't get it, they're going to get it, because you know what? They're saying, well, we'll wait and see when the voting starts happening. Yeah, we'll wait and see when the voting starts happening. I'll tell you what, I don't bet too often, but I bet my last dollar that people are going to come through, because there's going to be people coming out to vote that never vote.
Yeah, they're going to come out down the mountains, out of the valleys. They're going to come from everywhere. I think Trump's going to win Iowa big. I think he's going to win everything big. It's going to be a landslide like they have maybe never seen. I expect he's going to win all over, because they don't understand that people know what's going on. They know we know we're being betrayed. We know we're being sold out all over the country. People are waking up like mad. You still have the little dummies who want to believe it. They'll actually vote for Hillary. Unbelievable. I mean, how blind can you be? It's just, and they think she's a good choice. It's like it's a sickness in the country. But the real people, the real citizens, the real men, and the real women are coming out now. We're coming. I wrote it on the web in a lot of different places. We the people are coming for our country.
The thing is that when they play for a fool, is that when after a while maybe people are just getting tired of being played for a fool.
Not only that, it's serious. Everything's at stake now. Everything's at stake. Our freedom, our existence, everything, all life as we know it is at stake. And everyone sees it. Trump might be our last chance. I'm for him. I'm sorry. I know the guy's got some faults, and hopefully I'm betting that he'll hold up and he'll be true. I think he'll be true. I think he's got that love in the heart, the same love when he saw that rink in New York that no one could fix. They spent millions of dollars. It wasn't fixed right. It didn't work. And he said, I will fix that thing at no profit. He went in there. He fixed it ahead of schedule and below budget, or right on the budget, from the the kindness of his heart. And that rink is going now. It's a beautiful thing. People are skating on it. It's a part of the heart of New York. And he would not let that die. And that's the kind of man that I think he is. I think deep inside he wants to be loved. He wants us to see his goodness, and his ego wants to be known as a great, one of the greatest presidents. And that's what will serve us.
And I think, sir, that the subject that keeps getting, kind of pushed off to the side, that it's not the truth, is that absolutely Trump is doing this due to the fact that not just because he loves America, but he's not bought out by any of the Republicans and the Democrats. Both are so sold out to their party that they don't even.
They're blind. They can't even see anymore. He needs a clear hand. He's got a clear hand. He's going to do it. Got to run, man. Thanks so much, Pete. Thanks for the call. All right, let's get that Yasos back on there, Jason, because we're going out. It's a little bit of spiritual power here for our nation again, because this is where it's at, folks. In fact, I'd like to have little meetings. I'd like to have little gatherings. There's more to the breath than I've shown you. All right, watch the breath. Settle down. A lot of you are already into it. Breathe up into your forehead. This is just a technique. It's a thing to trick the mind, to settle the mind down. And when the mind is settled down, that's the door. Jesus said, I knock at the door. If you open, I'll come in. The mind, the thought, the guilt, the grudges, the anger, all that of the mind is the door between us and the divine. So let's open that door. Let's settle down, watch our breath. We only have about a minute. What do we got? 1 minute, Jason? 2? 30 seconds. All right. Let's tune in. Watch your breath. Focus your mind. And allow and call for and surrender to that divine power. The divine power that is behind everything. It turns the planets. It makes the sun to shine and our hearts to beat. That divine power that is in and behind and is everything. And we ask for that goodness to go across our nation again. We ask again,
Santa Cruz.
mighty source of all that is, that you cover our nation with that divine power and mercy, that our leaders change, that the right decisions are made.
Paved the way for the swap.
After the nuclear deal was completed, the discussions between our governments accelerated. Yesterday, these families finally got the news that they had been waiting for.
The whereabouts of a fourth American let go are unclear. The U.S. has released 7 Iranians held in this country. 2 men who have stayed friends with the Washington Post reporter Jason Rezaian since they were high school classmates are celebrating his release. WBBM reporter Nancy Hardy.
Matt Branseth didn't want people to forget about his old friend, so a year ago he began tweeting every day how long Jason Rezaian had been imprisoned. He also put together a video of clips from Jason's friends across the globe talking about him and hoped to do even more this year.
The social media campaign never got off the ground for the best reason possible. He got released.
He and classmate Brian Stetler talk of Rezaian's big heart and great sense of humor. They say they hope to meet up with him when he's back in the U.S. Nancy Hardy, CBS News, Chicago.
Republican presidential candidate Ted Cruz is pleased that the Americans are free, but he has questions about the talks that led to their release.
We're all very grateful, but at the same time, this deal is a really problematic deal.